Hey, Beastista here, and welcome to week 3 of the WDC. This week we're playing against Tom and the Atletico de Mawile. So let's get into the match. So looking at their team, we can see some really scary parts of their team. Namely, they have a very strong weather mode with Pelipper and either Dreadnought or in Pelipper and Beware. In addition to that, they have a fairly fast Spore user in Breloom, who also threatens a lot of my Pokemon for very big damage. They have Grimmsnarl, which can do screen support, or in addition to screen support, it could do things like Parting Shot, Thunder Wave, Trick, Taunt, and other really powerful prankster things. And then on top of that, they have some very fast and high damage Pokemon like Dugtrio and Gengar, while still having a low Trick Room mode with Hatterene and Copperajah. And so the big thing that I want to be able to deal with is the combination of Grimmsnarl screen support, Breloom sending my Pokemon to sleep, and the weather mode. And so with that, here's the team I decided to bring. So we start with Tauros. So Tauros is there for mainly dealing with the screens by being able to Raging Bull destroy the screens from a Grimmsnarl. In addition to that, with Choice Scarf, I can actually outspeed Pelipper and other things in the rain, and I can actually outspeed Beware specifically with a Swift Swim, which is a big thing. And I'm not guaranteed to outspeed Dreadnought, but if they do not invest enough speed, I can actually outspeed it. Wild Charge lets me one-shot Pelipper. Raging Bull lets me do massive damage, if not one-shot the Dreadnought and the Beware. In addition to that, I have Terra Steel. So Terra Steel, I think, is the best Terra type because it lets me do extra damage into the Grimmsnarl, giving me a reasonable chance to one-shot Grimmsnarl. It also lets me take the flying move from Pelipper really well, and also lets me take Grimmsnarl, a fairy move from Grimmsnarl as well. And then finally, we have Zen Headbutt specifically to do a little bit extra damage into the Breloom. Next up, we have Bombardier. Bombardier, we have Focus Sash this week, and the main idea of its goal is to be able to set up Tailwind to counteract the rain mode, and also to let a couple of my other Pokemon just outspeed the rest of their team. And in addition to that, it's dual wing beat, and it allows me to guaranteed one-hit KO a Breloom even if it has Focus Sash. And so that's the main reason it's there, and it has enough speed investment to guarantee outspeed it. The Tailwind lets me outspeed anything in the rain with the Tauros and the Bombardier. In addition to that, Skeledirge has a little bit of speed investment this week, which lets me in Tailwind outspeed anything on their team that it's not Choice Scarfed or not the Dreadnought in the rain. And then so other than that, we get the Stone Edge for dealing damage to Pelipper and just generic good coverage with Rocky Payload, and then Drill Run for their possible like Steel Pokemon and things like that. Next up, we have Skeledirge. So Skeledirge is a little bit of a weird set this week, but the idea behind it is we get Terra Grass, so we can Terra Grass if the rain is up, and then set up Sunny Day. And the sun, Torch Song will do very good damage, and then I have Shadow Ball as my rest of my other coverage move. I decided to go with Blaze instead of Unaware for two big reasons. One, I'm expecting my opponent to have a fair number of intimidated Pokemon, and so the Unaware can be a little bit negative in that. In addition to that, Blaze just lets me do a little bit more extra damage, and I do not expect them to have any setup mons this week. Continuing on, we have Clodsire. So Clodsire with Water Absorb is really good at being able to deal with the rain mode if they're doing Pelipper and Dreadnought specifically. We can Terralize into Terra Ground and do super effective damage into the Dreadnought with Stomping Tantrum. In addition, we have Stone Edge for Pelipper. We have the Water Absorb to be able to take any water moves. And in addition, we have Liquidation in case they Terralize into, let's say, Terra Ground Dreadnought, which is something I expect wouldn't be surprised to see. Next up, we have the Fraffrig. So Fraffrig has Armor Tail to prevent a little bit of the Grimmsnarl setting up like tricks, taunts, Thunder Wave, Parting Shot stuff. In addition to that, we got Trick Room in case I feel like we want to go on the slow mode instead. Thunderbolt to hit Pelipper, and just a lot of the other things for neutral. And then the Twin Beam with Twisted Spoon specifically so we can one-shot both Breloom and Gengar through Focus Sash because Twin Beam lets us hit, twice. And then Protect as the final move. And then in this case, we have specifically Terra Water so that I can take double ups in the rain a little bit better. And then finally, we have Dondozo with Lumberry. Similarly to Skeledirge, I didn't run it as Unaware for similar reasons. I gave it Oblivious to deal with, Taunt. I didn't really think the abilities were going to be super relevant. We have Terra Grass, so that I can't be spored, and Bullet Seed from Breloom doesn't do as much damage. In addition to that, I have Protect and Yawn, just as good, non-damaging moves. Yawn can force switches, can make their opponents go to sleep. And then we have Wave Crash, just as a very good stab damage. And then Zid Hunbutt specifically to hit Breloom, because Wave Crash hits pretty much everything else on their team reasonable. And with that, let's get into the matches. Here we are for game one. So look at my opponent's team. The first thing I note is I was expecting Dreadnought over Beware, and I honestly wasn't expecting Scissor at all. So with this, we see that they ended up having what appears to be 4 physical attackers, which is more than I was expecting to see. And so with the additional physical attackers and the fact that Beware, in addition to Grimmsnarl, are both weak to steel moves, Terra Steel Tauros seems very good, and I decide I want to lead Tauros. So with that, the big question is what I want in the back, and I decided to just go with Farafrig because I'm concerned of a possible Grimmsnarl lead, and I don't want to deal with any of that shenanigans because of Armatel. And then from there, I decide I don't really want Clodsire because Clodsire is a little bit weaker into the Beware, and it was mainly there to counter Dreadnought Pelipper lead. And so with that, it's either Bombardier and Dondozo is my last Pokemon. And I decided to just go with Dondozo because I think Dondozo is a better Pokemon generically. And in addition, it fares pretty well into the Beware and the Scizor. And so with that, let's get into the match. So my opponent leads Pelipper Grimmsnarl, which I think is a pretty good lead for my Tauros and Farafrig League. I'm able to intimidate Grimmsnarl, which is pretty relevant. And in addition to that, I have pretty good damage output. Here we actually see that because Intimidate goes first, I'm actually faster, so their Pelipper is not either not Scarf or not faster Scarf. And so here I don't want a Hurricane to go into my Tauros, so I decided to go for a Terra Steel, and then the Terra Steel Ironhead has a chance to kill Grimmsnarl. And so with that, I also decided to just go for a Thunderbolt to try to get the double knockout if they just go for 2 attacking moves. However, obviously, if they go for Reflect or Light Screen, I'm not going to get either a KO on the whichever one of those it goes to. Tauros terrorizes into Terra Steel, which definitely puts me in a pretty good place because both a Fairy or a Fly move could go in here, and I should resist both of these. This is why I picked Terra Steel specifically. They end up not going for Reflect or Light Screen, which is really good for me because I'm able to get a pretty good hit into Grimmsnarl. Sadly, I just missed out on the KO. I don't know how likely it is that I would have gotten the KO, but definitely it's a roll if they're just max HP and 4 defense. So Gengar is switched out from that U-turn they had there, and we've revealed Farafrig being faster, and the Thunderbolt does very good damage after the crit. Here, Grimmsnarl goes for a Dark Pulse, and it ends up almost one-shotting Farafrig. That was definitely very surprising, especially because it was a special move. So here I should have pretty much immediately realized that it was Choice Specs. However, I don't think I did at the time. So definitely a little bit awkward there because that damage was significantly higher than it should be. And so here we bring out Dondozo. We didn't want to bring out the Skeledirge because of the Shadow Ball from Gengar. And so here I decided to just go for the Iron Head into the Gengar and the Wave Crash into Grimmsnarl to get the kill on the Grimmsnarl and the Gengar if I hit both of these. And in addition, I don't want a Thunderbolt to go into Dondozo. That's why I'm trying to kill the Gengar before it can move, because I'm Scarfed. So I ended up protecting Gengar, preventing an Iron Head from killing it. It definitely makes it a little bit sad because I could have killed the Grimmsnarl before it moved, but instead we're in the situation where Grimmsnarl is going to be able to get a Dark Pulse into my Dondozo, which does almost 50%, which is really good damage. So that definitely the specs on that Grimmsnarl put in a lot of work. So here they bring out Beartic, which is not that bad a position for me because I'm Ironhead is going to do very good damage if not get the actual one-hit KO on it, and I should outspeed it even in the rain. And so here, however, with Dondozo, I'm decided to just go for the Protect because I'm reading a Thunderbolt to go into the Dondozo spot, and I don't think it takes that hit from this range. So we get the protect off, and we see that I am in fact faster than Beartick in the rain, which is good to know, but I definitely expected it. And once again, I just barely miss out on a kill with the Iron Head. And the Thunder, they end up going for Thunder instead of Thunderbolt into the Dondozo, which definitely would have killed. They were able to get a liquidation off, which ends up doing about 50%. However, it gets a defense drop on top of that, which makes it a little bit annoying there. And so here I decide to just go for the kill on the Gengar with an Iron Head and a Wave Crash into the Beartick. However, at this point I decided instead I should probably reconsider it because a Liquidation is going to kill Tauros from this range, and Gengar has revealed Protect and might Protect here. And if not, they're also going to Thunder into Dondozo. So decide instead to go for an Iron Head into the Beartick, getting a guaranteed kill on Beartick because I don't expect to have Protect, and switching into the Skeledirge because I should be able to take this Thunder, and Skeledirge does not seem particularly useful for me for the rest of the end game, where Dondozo seems very useful if I can kill the Gengar. So we switch on the Skeledirge, and we are, in fact, able to get Iron Head. The other play would have ended up working out fine because Gengar didn't protect. However, we kill the Beartick, and Gengar here is probably going to go for a Thunder, which it ends up doing, and the Thunder connects and does about 50% into the Skeledirge. So definitely a good switch because now Skeledirge is able to, take another Thunderbolt if it doesn't have a move like Shadow Ball. And they bring out their final Pokemon, which is Pelipper. And so here it's the last turn of rain, and that is pretty good news for me. And so I can go for an Iron Head to kill the Gengar. However, I decide to switch out predicting a Protect on the Gengar and going for a Protect on Skeledirge so I don't take something like a Weather Ball or a Hydro Pump from the Pelipper spot. And we see Dondozo comes in, and they did in fact protect Gengar, which means my read was correct, and then I also protect my Skeledirge. However, Pelipper just goes for an Icy Wind, which is a little bit surprising. I was expecting a Water move into one of the two Pokemon on field. However, the Icy Wind is, going to do very minimal damage to both of these Pokemon. And with that, the rain stops. And so with the rain stops, I decided to just go for the double up into the Gengar because I don't think they should be able to kill both of these Pokemon I field. The only way in which they could is if they connect a Thunder and a Hurricane, which both are 70% accurate, or a Thunder and a Hydro Pump. So with that, I think as long as I'm able to kill Gengar this turn, the Tauros should be able to clean up the Pelipper in the back with a Wild Charge, which is also why I saved Tauros in the first place. So they end up terrorizing, and we get to see what the Terra type is for one of these Pokemon, and it ends up being Gengar, which goes for a Terra Ghost. So going Terra Ghost, the assumption is now it's going to try to kill the Skeledirge. And it does reveal Shadow Ball, and the Shadow Ball goes into the Skeledirge spot, and it does in fact kill Skeledirge. And so now I'm feeling okay as long as I don't get hit with a Hurricane here. And they end up just going for Icy Wind. So this Icy Wind is very weird here, and so that definitely makes me believe that they are Choice Scarfed or Choice Spexed. And it's a little bit weird because it's slower than the Gengar here, and so even though if it's Choice Scarfed, so it'd be very a weird Choice Scarf set to be slower than the Gengar. So but maybe it's a modest Choice Scarf, and that's definitely the assumption with that choice of an Icy Wind there. However, this game should definitely be over with this point because Tauros should be able to just come in, go for the Wild Charge, and get the clean one-hit KO on Pelipper unless it's a Wakanberry. However, like I said, I'm assuming they're choiced in given the fact that they went for Icy Wind in that situation. And we do in fact get the one-hit KO with the Wild Charge. So with that, we get game 1, and we can go to game 2. So here we are for game 2. Game 1 went really well. And so I'm just trying to think about what I need to do to change it up. And so I decided that I want to, instead of having Farafrig lead something a little bit different, I think Tauros is really good, and I think I should lead it again. The big thing is I wanted to see if Bombardier had a dark move, which it does not. But a dark move would definitely make it very good into the Gengar. But even without it, I think Bombardier is a good lead. This with Skeletors in the back lets me have a good Tailwind mode. In addition, Bombardier lets me punish a possible Breloom, which they didn't bring the last game, and I'm expecting to see this game. Cloudsire, as I said previously, is a little bit underwhelming with the Bear Take going around because it doesn't have the best physical defense, and the ice coverage does very good damage into it. Um, in addition, it doesn't fare particularly well with Spore, and then for Feraforic, as we saw, didn't really do much, and so I decided to just go for the Skeledirge and the Dondozo because those are kind of the better two Pokemon, and they also fared reasonably well. Um, I considered just replacing Skeledirge because it didn't really do much, but I decided that it was probably worth bringing. So with that, let's get into the game. So my opponent ends up leading Grimmsnarl and Scizor, and I lead the Tauros Bombardier, and I'm able to get a nice Intimidate into the Scizor, which I'm pretty happy with. And so here, similarly to last game, I feel like just a Terra Steel Ironhead into the Grimmsnarl seems like the good play. I considered doing, something different, and I considered checking, Scizor for fighting moves, but I decided to just go for this, especially because Scizor's damage output doesn't seem great after we get the Intimidate off. And so here, I'm just debating on what move to go into to double up into the Grimmsnarl because I want to make sure Grimmsnarl dies before I can get a special move off. And so I decided to do the double up and hope I can get the roll and kill with the Tauros, and if not, the Bombardier should finish it. Once again, we Terra still into the Tauros on turn one. Definitely wasn't the game plan going in, but definitely makes sense based on what I've seen. And they revealed to be Trick, and they give me their choice specs. So this definitely probably could have picked it up from the damage on game one that it was choice specs, and if it's choice specs, I should have been able to expect Trick. However, this definitely took me a little surprise. In addition, because I lost my choice scarf, my Tauros is actually slower than my Bombardier, and so even though I do get the kill on Grimmsnarl, there's about a 50% chance I would have killed with the Ironhead by itself. However, I am pretty happy with the turn because I do kill their Pokemon, and all they do is get a little bit of a speed boost and do tiny bit of damage into my Bombardier. And here they just bring out the Gengar. Once again, I'm not particularly concerned with the Scizor, and so I considered going for the double up into the Gengar to try to get the kill on the Gengar, but instead I go for the Tailwind and the Ironhead in order to get speed control for the rest of the game. Because once Tailwind is up, both of these Pokemon should outspeed their entire team. And the Skeletors in the back should also outspeed their entire team and with Tailwind up as well. So Gengar goes to protect. This is one of the reasons why I decided to go for the Tailwind instead of an attacking move. And the Full Punch ends up doing okay damage, but definitely not great. And with this, we're able to get a Tailwind up relatively free, despite the Ironhead not doing any damage, because it goes into the Protect. However, now that Gengar protected last turn, we have a very easy turn this turn, in which we can just go for the clean kill on the Gengar by going for the double up. So the idea is whether or not we want to go for dual wing beat or drill run. Dual wing beat is a little bit less accurate. However, it's better if they switch in something. So Scizor goes for a Will Punch once again, doing okay damage, but definitely not great. And with this, the dual wing beat ends up doing very good damage. Sadly, we get the curse party activated, which means I can't do dual wing beat next turn. However, we are able to kill the Gengar, and I just hope that I don't get the curse party activated on my choice mon. But with that, we get the clean double up and get the kill, and definitely feeling like we're in very good shape. And so they bring out Breloom as the last Pokemon, which definitely hurts Bombardier being at losing its dueling beat. Honestly speaking, there's a pretty good chance I probably could have just double switched here, and that might have been the optimal play. However, I don't want to risk them having something like Swords Dance or another Trailblaze into a Swords Dance or something like that. And so instead of doing like the switch or even the double switch, I decided to just go for two attacking moves to get some good damage on the board and accept that if one of these go down, I can bring Skeledirge out and I will be in Tailwind, and I should be able to outspeed both these Pokemon, and I should threaten both of these with a kill. And so I just go for the Stone Edge and the Scissor. Here, the Bullet Punch ends up just missing out on the KO. That Intimidate did so much work, and with that, we were able to get a Stone Edge that does about 50%. And here, we get another Iron Head into the Breloom doing over 50%, and getting a huge flinch, preventing them from sporing one of my Pokemon or getting a close combat to the Tauros. And so with this, the game seems like it's incredibly over in my favor. I just need to get another Iron Head, which should kill the Breloom, and then another Stone Edge will kill the Scissor unless they hit me with the Bullet Punch here. So they end up terrorizing their Scissor into Terra Water. So this looks like a fairly defensive choice, maybe to play around, a slightly different attack. However, they just go for the Bullet Punch, killing my Bombardier before I can move. Terra Water does make Skeledirge in the back look a little bit less appealing. However, we are able to get an Iron Head off, and the Iron Head is able to kill Breloom. And so with this, we are in a 3-2-1 advantage, in which I have Dondozo in the back, which should be able to take pretty much any attack from Scissor very comfortably. So with Scissor, or with Dondozo and Tauros here, we should be able to get a clean kill. I just go for an Iron Head. I think technically there's an argument that I could switch out, but I don't want to risk them doing something I didn't expect. And with that, I even don't want to really risk maybe them having a Lumberry or something and wasting my turn with Yawn. So I'm just going to do damage because I think as long as I click attacking moves, I should be able to win this. As we can see, the -1 Technician boosted Trailblaze doesn't even do that much damage into Dondozo, even though it's super effective. And the Iron Head does pretty good damage, and the Zen Headbutt does, also pretty good damage. It just very misses out of the KO. However, here we should see that the game is pretty much guaranteed over. However, at +2, they're probably going to outspeed, but it doesn't really matter. Even with a crit, they don't think they even kill either of my Pokemon. As we see, not even close to killing my Dondozo, and the Tauros is able to finish it up. And so with that, we were able to get a nice 2-0 win, starting the season off 3-0, which is really exciting. This matchup looked really scary on paper, and I was very concerned. I know my opponent didn't have too much time to prep, so that might have helped a little bit. But also, I think that they did not respect, Terra Steel Tauros, and Terra Steel Tauros kind of just tore through their team both games, and is definitely the MVP of this week. But with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.